Everything's blue.
Are there ghosts in the machine?
Everything is blue in this world.
I think you'll find there are many.
All fuzzy.
In 2012, an NIN fan-based website contacted me, inquiring if there are any outtakes for the NIN Coil sessions of the early 90s. Sessions which, if you're not aware, I was co-producer, programmer and mix engineer. There'd been rumours for years that outtakes existed of these sessions that were not released. Well, I replied, I'll look at my DAT recordings of that period and see if I've got anything of note. Alas, as often is the case, many of the audio DAT recordings contained digital errors due to time, or we hadn't recorded all the versions we were working on. As anybody who's remixed will know, there are many sub-steps, which in the old days, being pre-mass computer storage days, were just impossible to archive everything. You just couldn't do it. But there was just enough there for me to contemplate another thought. In those days, I always kept my sessions in what I called the plan book. This consisted of hand-typed notes relating to where samples could be found, where sequences lived, and presets for keyboards used, etc., etc. A vast hand-typed, anal control freak kind of semblance of material created for my own personal use, if ever I was called back for remixes. The other thought I contemplated was why not recreate what we were doing in our home sessions all those years ago. After all, that's what's being asked for. What you have to understand is that for many sessions in those days, in order to save big studio costs, we'd often work in our own home studios, preparing everything to be synced with the 24 multitrack in the big studio later on. This was done by getting the artist to send over the original 24 track reels, to which we'd then book a big studio for a day, only a day, and copy every single bit of audio to a DAT tape, with the audio signal on the left and the SMPTE code from the 24 track on the right. With these DATs we could go to our home studios and create sequences, knowing that if we could sync to the time code on the right of the DAT, and if the tempo was the same and the key signature was the same, we could then rebook the big studio again to finish the project, and our new sequences would lock straight into the original multitracks, to which there were two. It was 48 track recording. What this would do would allow us to switch between the original song which lived on the 48 tracks and our new sequences, and create yet a third hybrid, the final big studio mix, as heard on the CD. Anyway, I digress. I felt that what the NIN fans really wanted could be achieved, and in a way, although not the full truth, enough of a truth that would make people happy. I had to not think about the politics of the other bullshit, just get back to the job of creation. To tell the truth, I also missed the buzz, being up all night, working on something. A buzz devoid of drugs or other highs, just the buzz of waking up and wanting to get stuck back in straight away. Playing in my mind was the philosophy of electric sewerage. See the end section of this video for info on that. Also helpful was the fact that every single sample you hear running with a digital code in the background right now was originally cut by me into these single units from the master recordings, all to be separate samples. Because of that, I now had the ability to call them all back anytime. That's enough philosophy for now, let's just get on to construction. First step is reading the plan book. This is the Bible for the whole thing. Then you find the relevant IB104 Akai load files and load up the Akais. Then load up the MPC60 sequencer drum machine files from the discs. At this stage, just play the samples and see how they sound coming straight out of the Akais. I then transferred everything meticulously to Ableton for composition, making sure that no warping was used, as I wanted the original files to sound as though they were just from tape. All new bits I would use the Ableton facilities, but it was very important for this project to not date it away from the early 1990s for obvious reasons. Then while working on each song, I would compare how my mixes were coming along to the snippets of original recordings I still had from the original home mixes. I didn't want to stray too far, as that was not what was wanted. Couldn't help but add a few new parts, like the pad D10 and the Middle Eastern pad on the intro of Closer, or the Help Me vocals. None of this was used in 1994. How can you expect one to get the old studio buzz, just acting as a curator? Didn't take away from the place we were at back then. After finally mixing down each song and their various versions, I picked the versions to be sent to the NIN fan site and emailed them over. And I believe they enjoyed them, because they then put them up on YouTube as uncoiled. As far as I was concerned, that was the end of it. NIN fans wanted new material, and I delivered it over to them. It was fun, shame it was over. We can now go back to our bunker. Our little story takes a little break then for a year. and then Cold Spring Records approached me with the idea of releasing them as Recoiled on CD and vinyl. I was aware these were essentially Trent Reznor's material, and a cease and desist order could be handed down at any time, and he's within his right to do that. We just have to see what would happen now. Thankfully, he didn't do that. I'm eternally grateful for obvious reasons. This was in part, no doubt, to Trent's respect for Peter Christopherson, even though Pete had gone. These mixes were constructed for the Nin fan site and the Nine Inch Nails fans. But once the release was imminent, I did hope the Coil fans would get something out of them too. There are a few murmurings about robbing the dead, etc. But these are par for the course. The truth of these mixes and their conception was never that straightforward as some would like to believe. The crowning glory to this whole little escapade was when the magazine website Quietness made them Remix Album of the Year. And taken as a straight fact, this made me very proud. I know the reviewer was obviously giving extra stars and kudos because, like many, he thought these were unreleased original recordings found in a vault. But the fact is, they're being created with the ghosts of Peter and John still living within the memories of everything that was created. So forgetting for a moment the theory of time, I know ghosts do live in the machines, and I think this is proof. Bit strange because I've got to hold a camera with one hand and try and work all this stuff with the other, so please forgive me. Because of the nature of small studio work, everything has to be bounced down into submixes almost. The drums are a good example. Unlike in 1994 where we were going to go into a big studio and have as many faders as we needed, for the 2012 Uncoiled mixes I had to submix so many things beforehand just to allocate faders for them. The drums are a good example. And here, a bit bigger mix of drums. It's amazing how sounds can get manipulated. I mean, here we have a little sequence here, and then we'll put in the effects and bring in some keyboards, etc. This is from the new beginning of Closer for the 2012 version. This is the beginning of the tune. We take the solo off. Have a look at the synths. There's a D10 with a Cairo, what I call Cairo. There's Cairo. There's Cairo. There's D10. Just have a listen to the voice.
Within my stomach, scraped off my knees.
Okay, all in. We'll close up some of these so I can get to them easier.
Eyes
part contains many tracks, each of them sub-bounced to make things easier because this is a small studio, obviously. Simps, there's lots of little simps.
Help me get away from the...
You can't have my isolation. You can't have the hate that it brings. You can't have my absence of faith. You can have my everything.
Anyway, this wasn't the mix I'm using here, but those guitars were always created from McGill University's sample CDs, which I bought 20 odd years ago. These guitars were used in the original that went on the film 7, but it's jazz sounds, McGill jazz sounds. I got the guitar chords from there and created a little sequence all that time ago, but I decided to use it again because it seemed to be liked. And there you go. Few sounds from Eurasia. Spiral bits.
How easy it was. He put the gun into his face. Bang. So much blood for such a tiny little hole. Problems do have some. Determined flash. Everything's blue. Everything is blue in this world. All fuzzy. Spilling out of my head. Everything is blue in this world. The deepest shade of mushroom blue. Everything's blue.
Here we have Recoiled. The ESSA philosophy, the electric sewer age philosophy, was something that was thought up by a guy called John Deek. It was essentially, you have a bunch of people, say like Coil, and all the periphery bands around. The idea was create releases where any of these people could be involved, but no one would be credited. And the idea was then fans would be attracted because they knew the caliber of people that were involved in this project. But then you could see if they enjoyed the track for the sake of the track, or they might guess who made the track, or there might be rumors, but you could see what the buzz was on a track, just on the track. No credits for anybody. Well, that philosophy, I was deeply involved in the trying to set that thing up with John around the time that the Insight contacted me, and it seemed that it fit very well with the philosophy of electric sewer age to almost produce these things and see if they enjoyed them. I mean, there was no cheating because they wanted 9 Inch Nails and they got 9 Inch Nails. And it'd be to see if they enjoyed what was delivered. But a proviso was, with this particular project, I wanted it to be as close as possible to how we were working at home in those days. So there was a link.